what can you say about, how people join communities from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, so the reasons people join and stay within communities are related to complexity, and I think it's really important to understand the difference, the attraction, the initial thing that brings people in, versus what actually keeps people in the community and being active members of the community, and also what keeps that positive for other people. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail in subsequent sections about when that goes wrong. But what I'll talk about now is what we're aiming for. So the reason that anyone participates, that anyone takes action at all, is because it either feels good or we think it's going to help us. Those are the two broad reasons, the two broadest categories. And really what you're seeking to do in a community is create a space that both feels good and is effective. And I think this is, effective is a difficult word. If we're talking about communities of professional practice, the effectiveness is very obvious. It becomes and that's probably what people are looking for initially when they're looking for a community, in the sense that, if I'm a professional, if you're talking about a professional community, what I'm thinking about is how I can be better at doing that. When I'm thinking about community. Whereas if you're talking about a kind of support community, really what you're talking about is helping people feel better. You're helping people feel good, you're helping people process anything difficult that's come up, and therefore feel better about things. Because from my perspective, we are, as humans, we have these two sides of us, the thinking and the feeling side, and that actually we work best when the two are working together. That even if we're talking about a professional community, it's going to have an emotional side, it's going to have an energetic side, it's going to have feelings in it, and that's part of the work. And if we're talking about an emotional support kind of community, a support, that's fundamentally about support, it's also going to be about taking effective action to resolve some of the issues that people have identified, and what that might be, how you might do that. Because one without the other, action without feeling is kind of hits diminishing returns, and it's kind of blind, and feeling without action just you never move forward, you never change. So it's really about finding that not only, I was going to say the balance between the two, but that's not right. It's about finding the overlap between the two. It's about finding things within the community that both feel good and make people more effective. But what you've got to understand from your audience's perspective, in the people that you're trying to attract, is where did they start in this? When they have a problem, is the first thing they think is, oh, I need to resolve this, I need to find a better way to act, I need to do this, in which case you're kind of talking about a community of practice. Or is the fundamental thing that people come to in the community, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel good, in which case you're talking about a support community, talking about emotional support. But because they're two sides of the same thing, obviously each community is going to do the other thing as well.
Yeah, I love that, and it reminds me of what's this one of the notions that people would come to a community because they need to meet a particular need, but they stay for connection.
Exactly, and connection is a really interesting one. And what keeps people in community is different to what attracts them to community, because what you're doing when you're framing, when you're setting the community, when you're saying what this community does, you're creating a new community. You're defining the world in a subtly different way. You're saying this pattern, this cluster of things is, we can do things, we can work together in a different way. And as I said, when you attract people into that, you're using either primarily practical things or primarily feeling. And so when people actually stay in the community, what's happening is that they're experiencing that cycling between the two. So the extent to which they experience positive value in the community between how they do and how they feel about things, how they act and how they feel about things, is the extent to which the community, that people will stay in the community as individuals, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking to move through that cycle, and the extent to which the other people available in the community and the other knowledge and the knowledge that the community generates help them do that are really the value of the community to them.
Knowing that there's a big importance on the feeling and the doing aspect, in what ways do have you seen that communities can sustain themselves? What are the models that have worked from your experience?
So for me, models are really a place to start. They're an analogy. The trouble is with models is that every community is going to be unique. If it isn't unique, then why bother setting it up in the first place? So if it is going to be unique, then some things will be the same as other communities, but some things will be different. And it's about working out what that is and what that relationship is. So, what successful community building looks like is really engaging with people who can help you discern exactly where you're likely to find success, because you can either do everything by complete trial and error, just try everything and see what works, or you can use the experience of others and your own experience to actually help you improve things. But ultimately, it all comes down to choosing something that seems like it's going to work and seeing how it does work. So this is true in terms of the marketing and outreach that you do, which is how you're attracting people in. So it's like, is how I'm explaining this community, are the channels that I'm using, are they attracting enough people, and are they attracting the right kind of people? Are they attracting the people that I want to be in this community? And again, you won't know that for certain when you start. So it's about experimenting with that and seeing sending it out there, seeing what you get. That's fine. And similarly, the structure within the community. So the technical platform that you use, which most people seem to start with. And for me, that's actually right at the very end. Technical platforms are just a means to an end. They don't make or break your community. There'll be there'll be some that are significantly better than others. There'll be many that are about the same, and it doesn't actually matter what platform you choose. What you should understand, though, is the relative costs and benefits of each platform, because each platform has costs and benefits. And this is particularly true when you see financially free platforms versus financially paid platforms. And I think it's very important that, that when I say financially free, because if someone's not charging you directly for it, you can assume that they're still getting some benefit from it. And that will constrain you in certain ways. And that may work for you. That may be a good deal, but it may not. So, for example, there are very common free web community platforms that are a very, very good place to start and a very good place to try things out, but have significant constraints because the interests of the platform may differ from your interests as a community builder. And it's when those diverge, it's finding a better platform.